Hey guys, thanks for joining me at ImGonnaUke. My name's Tony, and in this video I want to introduce to you another member of the ukulele family, the baritone. Now if you've been playing the ukulele for a while, or maybe you've recently been diagnosed with UAS, which is Ukulele Acquisition Syndrome, then you've probably heard of, or maybe you've already seen, the largest member of the family here, the baritone ukulele. Now if you don't already have one, then after this you're probably going to want to look to pick one up. So I'll go over all the details, the richer sound quality, and I'll also try to dispel a lot of the misunderstandings out there about the baritone. Now the baritone is obviously larger. It's a 30-inch scale. It has 18 frets and a larger body. Now it's tuned differently than typical ukes. So baritones are tuned from the top to the bottom. They're tuned D, G, B, E. So for a baritone, this is the standard tuning. So for you guitar players out there, you're probably like, dude, that's the same tuning as my bottom four strings of my guitar, man. And you're right, it is. So if you're tuning a baritone uke with a digital tuner, you'd probably want to choose the guitar setting and not either chromatic or definitely not the typical ukulele setting, because you won't get the right sound. So by the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and click that shiny red subscribe button, and don't forget to like this video. I want to show you the baritone's deeper and richer tone, as well as some of the chord shapes. So before I get into the chord shapes and fingering and stuff like that, just listen a little bit to the deeper tone and the rich sound, just for a second. Now right away you probably notice that baritones can have metal wound strings for the D and the G string. And that's part of the benefit of just having a larger body, having stronger bracings that can support that higher tension with heavier gauge strings. So you can get nylon string versions, but my opinion is if you're getting a baritone, you want the sound anyway. So get the metal wound strings for your D and your G, and that's what really gives you that rich guitar-like sound, because you're basically using light gauge guitar strings. Now the baritone's standard tuning is linear, so it doesn't have a reentrant tuning like you have with a high G kind of standard or typical ukulele sound. So this linear tuning is what gives a little bit deeper range. It gives you the kind of five notes deeper. So if you have a low G tuned ukulele, like maybe a concert or a tenor size, then it's similar as far as the deeper range that you can go. But a baritone can go even deeper because it's 5 semitones deeper. The baritone is a great backing accompaniment. If you have a ukulele ensemble or you're playing in a group with your friends, if one of you have a baritone, it really kind of adds the low end, adds that depth to the songs that you're playing. It has a real nice rich sound. Now I want to save you tons of frustration when it comes to playing the baritone, when it comes to chord shapes and fingering. Now a lot of ukulele players out there, when they hear it, they get excited and they want to go out and buy a baritone right away, and then they try to play it and try to learn the chords, and then that's when all of a sudden they get very confused, or they feel lost or a little bit frustrated. Now if you're a guitar player out there, you'll probably find learning the baritone ukulele a lot easier, because it's exactly the same chords and shapes as a guitar. So if you just pretend that you're missing or you broke your top 2 strings, here's your G, there's your C, your F, your D, and your A. Now if you recently started playing baritone, or maybe you're thinking about getting one, I'm going to save you a ton of frustration. Now realize that the baritone is tuned differently, but the chord shapes themselves are all the same as a typical ukulele. So if you're used to playing a soprano, concert, or tenor, all your chord shapes are exactly the same. So you can learn to play a baritone pretty quick, but just keep in your mind that the notes or the chords you're playing are going to be 5 frets deeper. So let's say on a typical uke, you might play a C major like this, but on the baritone, this same shape is the same shape, but it's going to be a G. So it's 5 notes deeper. Now just take a moment and think about what that really means. A baritone is 5 frets deeper, or 5 frets lower than a standard or a typical ukulele. So if I'm playing a G chord here, if I were to bar and move down 2 frets, that's an A major. If I move down 2 more, that's a B. If I move down 1 more, that's a C. Now look at my hands. So if I'm barring that 5th fret, everything below down here is identically the same as a typical ukulele. So if you're used to playing a soprano, concert, or tenor, if you play down here, it's exactly the same. If you put a capo on that 5th fret, you're playing the exact same pitch, same chord shape, same everything as your typical ukulele. So if you think about that, so your shapes are the same, you're just reusing those shapes. Instead of playing a C here, I'm playing a G here. So to figure out any chord, just look at below the 5th fret, how would you play it on a typical ukulele? If I could bar that 5th fret and I played that F major like this, if I slide up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now I don't need that bar anymore. So for my F, I have E, D, C. The new baritone players often get really frustrated because they really want this to be a C, but it's not, it's a G. So instead of letting your brain try to make this a C, if you just kind of disengage, like just put your brain in neutral for a second and just let this be a G, it's okay, it's a G. So you're making the same shape, so your fingers don't have to learn anything new, your hand doesn't have to learn anything new, your strumming is all the same, but now you can learn just a slightly different version of a typical ukulele. So just let that be a G, let this be a D, and let that be a C. But these are all shapes that you know. So without trying to force these back to be something else, if you just accept the way it is, it allows you to learn the baritone very quickly. Well, I hope this gives you kind of a good overall introduction to the baritone ukulele. If you've been considering getting one, just go ahead and buy one. They sound beautiful. It fits well with the ensemble. And if you already started collecting ukuleles, you definitely should get a baritone. So I hope these tips kind of help you transition and start to learn the baritone ukulele. I'm going to leave a link to a chord chart in the description box to kind of help you get started. If you did enjoy this lesson, please give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, have fun playing and God bless.